Good morning. How are we doing? It feels like we're doing pretty well. Feeling frisky because I'm starting to get into something that doesn't feel completely legitimate. It feels a little bit naughty. It feels like getting into something prior to consent taking place. Is there an HR violation with this? No, because what we're getting into is something that's scandalous, funny, unexpected, comedic, completely legal, and helpful in a surprising way. What we're talking about is computer programming in a deliciously playful type of way because we're in a time where software ate the world. And we're still thinking that the old triumvirate rules: money, power, and people that possess authority. Those things have gone by the wayside. Why? Because software ate the world and AI is on a rampage. Together, you and I can be in stand up comedy while deliciously chewing up Bumble in a positive way. Because Bumble is an app that stock, that company has precipitously fallen a great, great deal. That's not the comedic portion of it. The hilarious component we will discuss on 14 levels of WTF. I didn't know that that was even on the menu. What the actual frittata? I did not know that that was a career that people have. What the heck? I didn't know that these jokes land in a super unique way. Ready to jump in? Wednesdays and Mondays, I drop typical stand up comedy episodes. This is a special and unique episode, which good job for discovering, but it's also really YouTube and Gemini AI honing this algorithm. Problem: Bumble is an app that you probably don't use. Good job not using it because we're getting along fine without it. But there's a problem, is that Whitney Wolf is a unicorn, a blonde unicorn, which is the Silicon Valley version of what a unicorn is. What's a unicorn? It's a $1 billion company. Pinning that message: Blue Monster, Korean guy with English accent, Texas hat, speaks articulately about stuff. Oh, we're going to talk about some pretty fun stuff as we bumblebee from flower to flower with terrific topics. Topic number one was Bumble used to be a unicorn, now it's no longer. Topic two within Bumble comedy: there's an API, and it's a component of Software Ate the World, and it involves AI. Don't let these topics intimidate you. Right on cue, intimidated by the topics. Don't be. Why? Because this will be the first time that you've understood that natural language is the default. So, API, it's an application protocol interface. And all it is you picking up the phone and opening an app. That's a base layer of an API. APIs used to be incredibly complicated, and that's where people get intimidated by API because they hear it in the lexicon of the English language everywhere. What we have to realize now is that AI has made an API pedantically simple, fifth grade, seventh grade simple. This is similar to how your 90-year-old great grandfather is intimidated by taking a selfie on an iPhone or hesitant to take pictures because he doesn't want to waste film. Where you're like, my iPhone's unlimited. Well, except for this iPhone, which is incredibly debilitatingly full of data. So when AI makes APIs dead simple, regular humans haven't caught up yet to it. That's why we can scandalously jump into, hey, this is Bumble. This is an app that we can fix. Why are we fixing a company that might be writing a postmortem within a year or two? A postmortem is where the company goes bankrupt and then the founder or the CEO writes their swan song, Why We Died. Read this TechCrunch blog post because our company died and we want our death to be a lesson. Plot spoiler, all companies die. Another plot spoiler is within this comedy set, which is we're all eventually going to die, but we're not going to die just yet. Why? Because this is a cadaver turnaround. This is stand-up comedy turning around where you're like, hey, initially the comedy set, it wasn't that funny. Well, guess what? It's about to be super hilarious. No dates required in order to go all the way with Bumble because we are turning around a company that we don't own. Are we going to raise $800 million to buy a company that used to be worth $20 billion? Why would we? We can just make it better and profit. Let's keep rolling with the concept of API, Application Protocol Interface, in an age of AI, Asian intelligence, being doled out during stand-up comedy. Is that impossible to do? In the past, yes, when stand-up comedians would lie to you. Here, no lies told, only insights that are actually funny on a second watch as well. So prior to artificial intelligence, it's Asian intelligence, where prompting and preparation seem like it's AI in your math class, Asian intelligence in a math class. But when you're asking AI, hey, where's the nearest bathroom off of I 90 after the the I-14 interchange by the LA riots, where's the nearest bathroom? AI, artificial intelligence, has already answered that question 5, 6, 10,000 times. You're asking and answering that question for the first time. That's how artificial intelligence works, is models trained on natural language and trained on data sets where it crawls, spiders, caches, and memorizes old data, giving it to you, the giving it to you, giving it to you. And so instead of asking, hey, are American Indians considered partially Asian? We can instead ask ourselves, what is this video actually talking about? Which is doing a turnaround of Bumble without asking Bumble to have a board of directors meeting. This is what we're going to do. Bumble name badges, where how many events do you go to where you use a Sharpie and then you write out your name? You're like, hi, my name's Sam Altman, and I'm going to prompt this party with a question. Who will teach CS 183D? So instead of Sharpie handwriting out a name badge, we are going to be installing a Bumble QR code that we make that attaches to our Bumble profile and our LinkedIn. Why? Because the first thing that females do is ask, hey, he's super tall and super hot. I wonder what he does for work. Really, they don't ask that. That's just the politically correct version. The politically incorrect version is, how much money does this person have? Do they have good credit? Do they own their own house? These are the questions that Bumble could facilitate that are in the backs of everybody's minds, which is, hey, is this person actually 190 pounds, or is she using filters and angles to seem only 120? These are problems that Bumble naturally possesses. Are we going to solve all of their problems? We're going to solve a lot of their problems. Why? Because the company used to be a unicorn and now it's no longer. Sharpies, QR codes, Bumble interacting with the rest of the world. Because officially, when you ask Bumble headquarters, hey, do you have an API that developers can use? Nope, we don't have a public API, and you can reverse engineer by scraping our profiles, but Bumble terms of service hinges on you not breaking terms of service. But that's not what this API is, which is, it's not an API to scrape the existing Bumble users. No, 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 no. This API is to add value to people that have actively said, no, I don't want to use Bumble. No, I don't want to pay to use Bumble. Yes, I'm aware of Bumble BFF. But what if Bumble BFF had an AI component to it that didn't come from inside of Bumble? What if Bumble had a BFF function that was, would you like a Chinese AI agent to power your Bumble experience? What's a Chinese AI agent? What's a Chinese AI agent? Which is this. A Chinese AI agent is where you say to yourself, crabs in a pot, why am I getting pulled down by other non-Asian or quasi-Asian people? Because remember, Bumble has been labeled as wanting to keep you permanently single. And if some of these Bumble truths hit home, where you're like, I'm never not going to be single. Screw Bumble. See, there you go. It's where your brain is like, it's your brain on I'm a virgin mode, which is what Bumble can actually solve. So this video is actually specifically for you. Because when you're saying stop yapping, dude, what you're saying is every time I hear Bumble and every time I hear a confident Asian, like, I wish that the caste system in India would be wired differently. AI broke that caste system where YouTube gives you your equivalent of an IIT education, whereas you could be leapfrogging 9 castes up to the very top, but instead you're upset at Asian intelligence. AI, AGI ate the world. Asian guy intelligence, that ate the world. Asian intelligent, artificial intelligent, these are truths that are difficult to read. They're not impossible to swallow because it's super well lubricated and it's not very big. Some of these topics are very digestible where you can just num 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 num. Moving along, moving along, yeah, you should, but also you're welcome. And also Bumble and 2 footnotes, which is this. Most people put barriers in their own way. This is where we are our own worst enemy, or at least you used to be, and when you were PS, pre-subscriber, and you calling yourself Penguin 9, I very much appreciate because a VC stole every animal 9 when he found out that Duck 9 was amazing, which Penguin 9 is perfect. In fact, Penguin 9 is your Bumble turnaround. Let's get into specifics because we don't want to just subscribe hoping for future information. No, this is information. No, this is information that you're going to win at. Thank you. You're going to win at immediately. Bumble. Is it speaking at Y Combinator Startup School hosted by Gary Tan? No. Why? Because they're going to have those name badges that are written in Sharpie with a sticker. Like, that's the state of name badges. That's the state of name badges, where you go to Y Combinator Startup School and they're like, yeah, would you write your name on a thing? And that way people will know what your name is. That's a problem. This is a solution. A brother $90 printer. How does the brother $90 printer assemble to the Bumble API? Because software ate the world and Bumble is uncomfortable with doing something that is basic, which is get a printer and start printing out some name badges because half of these people's names I can't even read. Plus, there's no follow up component to it. And did you know that you can design a QR code out of anything? So you can literally turn anything into a QR code. Now you're able to Now you're able to now you're able to to connect Bumble to LinkedIn to startup school. And do you see how now you're connecting in where people like Bumble did this? Well, typically or in reality, AI AI agents did this. But yeah, Bumble is at one of the hub or spoke components of it. What we're doing is DJing APIs. We're not breaking anything down further than it can be broken down, but an API is computers talking to other computers. In the same way that here it's YouTube, Gemini, Firebase, Google products towards a Google Meet on a Google YouTube, where it's this 55 days of OpenAI at SF Christmas. Because on the 48th day, the Super Bowl starts in the San Francisco Bay Area. Ditto AI Startup School. How does this relate to Bumble? Well, people that are visiting a new city, they open up their Bumble app in order to hook up with people in that city. Ditto the Olympics, where the dating apps were just crazy because athletes show up super horny. That's why dating apps are used by pro athletes and Olympic athletes. Does Bumble have a dick centralization problem? Yeah, but that's kind of just the current model. That's why there are so many virgins that are upset, that are like, I'm not paying. I was a virgin when I started using this app, and I'm still a virgin after using this app. That's interesting because what company de-virginizes people financially in a astute, positive, and thoughtful type of way? That would be Penguin 9. That would be Duck 9. Deeply understood credit knowledge. Because now we're able to understand that some people are incredibly upset about being a virgin or being a virgin for 2025, 2024, 2023. When Bumble forces women to make the first move, what ends up happening is that a lot of men on the app get ignored. So, together with Bumble in financial difficulty, let's start APIing in some solutions which include the Super Bowl. Because we can use Super Bowl events to sign up 5 to 10 paid users. What if you paid Bumble or the universe $50,000? You would only pay that if you're from a Larry Chang Jedi and Business Administration frame of thought, which is I'm not paying 50K until I make 80K. That's Bumble, but on a lower level, where you would pay $30 a month for the subscription if you could, one, use AI to self fund business school, two, use AI to get a free vacation to San Francisco for the Super Bowl for February 7th because the networking with billionaires, that's amazing. And guess what? Those guys have zero clue about how AI is changing everything. We're in the most topsy-turvy time ever. You should sign up for Bumble BFF and have this Chinese cowboy be your Bumble BFF. $0. $0. Larry, how do you differentiate between Chinese, Japanese, also with the same Pakistanis and Sri Lankans? So you're so wrapped up in trying to figure out why cousins ended up marrying and producing some lineage of people, whereas we can just code our brain, where every time you ask a question, it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, which is literally bolting you up 5 to 50 levels up in the caste system of which you crawled or your mom and dad crawled out of. Like, this is literally 50 plus levels up in the caste system. You should be asking, hey Larry, I should get a cowboy hat because can you expand on what you're talking about with hashtag 55 days of OpenAI at SF Christmas? What a much better question. Good job. Good job. Good job. Asking an expansion on a prior versus, oh, I have my own ethnic issues for being ethnic and I'm having a hard time with my identity. That's Bumble if it had an AI agent that was like, hey, women aren't rejecting you because you're 5'8" and Indian. You could be saying, oh, she's not down with the brown. Or you could be like, hey, that guy's brown. Why is he pulling that much ass? This is why. This is your Bumble agent from outside doing your customer service. This is the first time that you realize you get demoralized every time you hear no. Whereas this comedy live stream, it only got good when you said, stop yapping, dude. Because if a girl were to tell you, bro, I'm not down with Larry Chang being brown, I'd be like, thank you for telling me that you have horrible taste. Or, even more positive, thank you for telling me that you're no longer an option. And then she'd be like, wait a minute, you're happy about being turned down? Now my vajayjay's super soaking because this is a form of Jedi and vagina administration that I've never experienced before. Do you see how that's Bumble agency? That's Bumble AI agent, where you feel bad when you don't match with somebody who you wanted to match with. Whereas you should be thinking these thoughts and expanding on a prior, which is hashtag 55 days of OpenAI at SF Christmas. Because what we're doing is we're solving Bumble's problem, Fortune 3,000 company, and we're solving OpenAI's problem, Fortune 50 size company, which is this. Nobody knows about the 12 days of OpenAI. So why not plug in and insert Bumble into the 12 days of OpenAI? Why? Because polymaths, people on the spectrum, people neurodivergent, that doesn't get action between the legs lubricated. It just doesn't. What if you wrapped it and put a mitten on it or a thinking cap, which is this specifically? A sexy Super Bowl party, or some Bumble gear, or some unofficial Bumble party during day number 69 of the 55 days of OpenAI at SF Christmas, which puts it promptly into a music festival. So now you're doing Bumble at a music festival. Do I have the pictures commensurate with Bumble at a music festival? We do, because that's also how we, me, Kenny, and Luke, turned around Yelp at a music festival. Is this our first turnaround? No. Is this our first external API? No. Is this our first like? Because how are you dropping so many neg comments while liking this video exactly 0 times? It doesn't help me for likes. It's critical for your brain connecting and firing to be like, yay, this seems awesome, let's join. Or you're like, whoa, it feels like I'm helping somebody out by me realizing that Larry the Bumblebee is going to turn around Bumble. Why? Because 3 stuffed animals are more useful than 5 Harvard MBAs. What's a stuffed animal? It's a stuffed animal bumblebee. And what's this bumblebee going to do? It's going to attract attention because people love stuffed animals, which is layer 2 venture capital and API into Bumble, which is slap a stuffed animal on it and make it slay. Are we doing sunrise videos to do stand-up comedy, butt ass early in the morning? Heck yes. That's why these video series are front-running people who do AI to ask questions. This is Sam Altman asking, hey, Stanford University, who will teach CS183D? D as in distribution. Because what's going on here is we're distributing Bumble as if we're the VP of sales. Who is the VP of sales at Bitcoin? This guy. Why? Because you can self-install yourself to be the distributor of an app. What's the problem right now with Bumble and its precipitous 90+% fall in stock value? That would be lack of distribution. Oh, but if I do these tasks, I don't know how much I'm going to get paid. I only get paid per hour, and that's how my mind is wired. That's called low time preferences. That's called lazy. That's called low time preferences, because that's also one of the reasons why you didn't finish college. That's also one of the reasons why you have procrastination mindset. What this is stand-up comedy while also repairing our brains. This is a small dose of accountability. But what we're looking at here is, why are you so hezzy on new ideas? Why are you so hesitant on connecting with BFF, bumbling with Larry the Bumblebee as we consider Bumble the dating app, but in a completely different light from signing up in an app hoping to discontinue your virgin run, or where there's so much D being thrown at you that every time you open up your smartphone, it's literally a box of dicks trying to hit you in the face and you can't operate. Your phone's not so smart, it's really just dicks being put up against your brain. Your phone's not so smart, it's really just breaking your brain. Does your phone break your brain as a woman or a high value man opening up your phone and all you see are offers? all you see is BS offers because some of the people aren't even really trying to date you. They're trying to rob you or they're trying to misguide, mislead you. What if there were a way to have an AI agent help us with the filtering process? These are all APIs into the original Bumble where we did cell phone number underwriting, where you can't ask a Bumble user, hey, tell us your social security number. We want to make sure you're not a criminal with some SA history. You can't ask for the social, but you can ask for real name, real credit card, and their cell phone number. And device IDs have information attached. So, in essence, running APIs into TransUnion, Experian, Equifax is a component of Bumble security, not to be divulging too much, but cell phone numbers themselves are able to be underwritten. Plus, if a Bumble user is inseminating in 6 different cities, you can see that on the device ID number with multiple Bumble accounts, multiple SIM cards, same iPhone device. Did this video just get super technical? No, it didn't. It got super useful because we're going to Bumble forward with an unofficial yoga class that's an unofficial Bumble user gathering party. Is this similar to a Yelp elite party? Most definitively, yes. I don't know why my eyes are drying right now. It's probably because I need to tear up because this video is going to get crazy, awesome. Bumble elite party, unofficial. What we're doing is we're onboarding Bumble power users going from zero sexual interest to more than one interested in sexual friendship, which is this. 60, 70, 75% of Bumble users get no love. Is that a problem? No, that's an opportunity because it turns out that's how the numbers on dating apps work. Is it's centralized because when the power gets transferred fully to the party that gets first mover advantage, then what happens is that the penis centralizes in that all the attention goes to the top tiers. I don't make these rules for the sexual market value. I don't. But these are hilarious on 10 levels. And why are there 0 likes? It's like trying to not laugh where when you try to not like it, you're going to end up loving this, which is why is the sexual market wired the way that it is? I don't make the dating choices on a macro level. All I can do as your AI agent, your Asian intelligent agent, is this. You'll be incredibly, incrementally better with a 4-hour work week. Let me repeat that because it's ginormously awesome. AI into a 4-hour work week from Bumble. Am I quoting my friend Tim Ferriss's book? Yes, because back when we were APIing into dating apps, this is our API. We would do a vendor arrangement where somebody would be hired as an independent contractor to answer all of our dating messages so that way we just go on the dates. We don't have to do the messaging. because if you had an AI agent, they could do the foreplay, pre prep work, and prompting on the dating apps, so that way we don't spend 95 hours on a dating app only to go on 8 dates. That's why we delegated that to a 4-hour work week independent contractor. Do you see how it's a creative API into hacking your dating app? But now those algorithms are made old. But the new way of using AI for the 4-hour work week, that's still legitimate. How is it legitimate? Wouldn't you be infinitely more dateable if you had a stethoscope around your neck dictating that, hey, I'm a doctor? Because that's what people do when they're standing in front of a Ferrari. Are you a machine learning engineer? Good job. Good job. Okay, got your point. Oh, yes. Bumble bad, Larry good. That is temporarily true. We are going to make Bumble better, and when we make Bumble better, what happens to our V status? We lose our V card. Well, you will, because this will be your first turnaround. Larry, what are your political affiliations? This is my political affiliation, is that I run my brain super well. Whereas look at your line of questioning where you can't move towards a direction, which is why you didn't finish your engineering degree or any degree. You don't even need an engineering degree. You just need your brain to focus. This video has been amazeballs. I'm going to continue for Wednesday and Monday. This was a note-taking session to get you guys going in the right direction, and more importantly, for me to prep as your AI